Hi, all you leaders out there. I want to start our time together by sharing my heart with you for this upcoming training series. The reality is that we should be meeting more often than what we do now. And you're probably looking at this video saying, dude, how can we do that? I don't have any time. That's a great question. And, you know, the reality is everybody has 24 hours in a day, and we wish it would be a lot more, at least I do. And, you know, we should be coming together more because I should be providing more training. And my heart is to help all of us develop as individuals as we are in return helping the students develop as individuals. And it's my job as a leader to provide you with resources that can help you to grow as a leader, not only in your home, but at your workplace and in your personal life. And so I apologize for not providing those up to this point in time, but the reality is that whenever I want to do a training, we can't come together and meet. But we can do this, and I can share some training material with you this way, and you can watch this at your leisure. And I can keep it much shorter because we won't have any reason to stop through our time here. So hopefully this will be a blessing to you. And what I want to do is start a series called Developing the Leader Within You. And it's not original to me. It's John Maxwell and his leadership knowledge and understanding. And I'm actually working from his workbook, Developing the Leader Within You. That's upside down. Nope, that's upside down there. There you go. Well, Developing the Leader Within You. It's kind of weird the way I'm holding it. Just work with me. But I'm working from his workbook, and maybe some of you out there have read his book, Developing the Leader Within You. At my last church, there were a lot of issues at my last church, but one of the greatest things that I experienced at my last church was my senior pastor really helped me grow and develop as a leader. I remember going to a conference with John, and I got a chance to meet John and just spend a few moments with him. He signed the book for me and shook his hand, and what a tremendous man. He stands tall in a lot of ways, and his principles and his work on the issue of leadership will stand the test of time. So even though this is a little old, it's still good stuff, and hopefully a lot of you have not been exposed to his stuff, so that our time together will be something new and unique for you. So I just want to go through part one real quick today. I don't think we'll be able to cover any more than that, but just kind of giving you direction of where we're going. Part one and part two is the introduction, and it asks the question, what is a leader? It's an interesting question. I think the term is thrown around a lot today. Leader, the leader of this, the director of that, the manager of this. You know, there are all kinds of acronyms and all kinds of descriptions of jobs, and you know, you're a director, you're a manager, you're a whatever, you're a CEO, a president, a vice president, a whatever, and all of these come with along with those titles come the idea of some form of leadership. But, you know, leadership is more than simply being given a badge or a position or a title. You know, when I got my credentials with the assemblies, I didn't somehow become a leader. When I got my first church, my first youth ministry position, I didn't become a leader. In fact, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I remember sitting behind my desk, and it was one of the very first weeks I've been hired there at Rockville, and I'm just kind of staring out into my office, and I'm like, dude, I don't have a clue how to do this. I don't know how to manage people. I don't know how to organize things. I don't know how to train people. And you know, I heard somebody say that the whole concept of leadership begins with you and me. If we can't lead ourselves, then we can't lead our home and our kids. We can't, if we're a man, we can't lead our spouse, and we're not going to be able to lead the students. So it is very important for us to learn not only how to lead others, how to manage teams, how to build teams, how to delegate, all those things, but first and foremost, how to manage ourselves. And maybe even before that, to answer the question, what really is a leader? And so, as we get going here, just sharing from this training manual, John shares with us here some myths of leadership. John Maxwell is really great at explaining what is leadership, but he's also good at explaining what it isn't. And sometimes you have to identify what something isn't before you can really understand what it is. And so there are some myths of leadership here that we're going to go through. First is that leaders are born, not made. Leaders are born, not made. Have you ever heard somebody say, man, that person looks like they were born doing that? And, from time to time in life, we do meet some people who maybe it looks like they were born with some natural skills and abilities. Maybe they were gifted, at something, or somebody will say, hey, man, it looks like they were born coming out playing this or doing this. But when it comes to being a leader, leaders are not born, they're made. Leaders are born, not made, and that is a myth. The truth is that leaders are made. People are not born as leaders; they're made that way. I was talking to somebody about youth ministry the other day. I was meeting with some youth pastors, and I told them, I said, if you love students, then you're in the right spot. If you're in youth ministry and you don't love students, you need to get out. The reality is you can learn how to lead people, you can learn how to manage, you can learn how to structure your day, and you can learn how to run events. You can learn all that stuff. You can have training, you can go to things, but you cannot learn over time how to love students. You either love students or you don't. That's it. There's no other way. So leaders are born, not made, is a myth of leadership. Leaders are in fact made and not born. Leadership is a rare skill. That's another myth, that somehow leadership is this rare skill that only a few people have. The reality is it's not. Everyone can learn if they're willing to put in the time to make changes in their personality, if they are open to trying something and having it tank, and if they're open to doing the work that they need to in themselves, then anybody can be a leader. It's not a rare skill. Leadership exists only at the top of an organization. That's wrong. If you know the workings here of Christ Chapel, you'll know that leadership goes down all throughout the pyramid of how the church is set up, from Pastor Roberts and his management the whole way down to then the other leaders and their leadership over their ministries, and the whole way down to the custodial staff and the leader there. There needs to be leadership of how the church is even cleaned and taken care of, and all the facilities, and even the security team. And so to say that leadership exists only at the top is a myth. Leadership is influence, not position. It's influence, not position. That all leaders are charismatic in personality, that's a myth. Not all leaders are charismatic. Not all leaders are people that love to be out in the spotlight. Some leaders are people who they exist in the dark corners, if you will, or they like to be off stage. They like to do their thing in the background. They have a talent for organization. They have a talent for management. They have a talent to put together an event and make calls, but they might not be charismatic. They might not be like you, and what you can't do is you can't look at somebody who isn't outward. If you're outgoing, you can't look at somebody who's not outward and say of them, well, they're not a leader, or why are they here? They're not the leader we're looking for. The reality is that leadership is not personality. It's a set of skills, and your personality really kind of works it works hand in hand with your leadership. I think people have gotten used to just believing that all true leaders are charismatic. And if you're not charismatic, if you're not a great speaker, if you're not, like always on an energy drink high, then you must not be a leader. And that's not the truth. That's a myth. Charisma will get you inside the door. Credibility will keep you there. See, charisma will get you in as a leader, sure, from time to time. However, I think what you and I have discovered is that a lot of leaders, they may be charismatic, but their personal lives are a disaster. How many people have we seen in the spotlight, especially in the church realm, that were living in a high because of their charisma and their personality, and they were a great speaker, and they were having all these conferences and traveling all around the place, and they were writing books, but their credibility, their character, their integrity, that wasn't at the same level as their leadership, and so they ended up making moral mistakes or financial mistakes, and they lost it all. And the reality is that as our leadership increases, we have to make sure that our integrity is right there. I don't want to be at a place as a leader, and my integrity is not at that same place. I don't want my charisma and my excitement to take me to a place that my character can't keep me there. Because as we increase our influence, as we increase our ability to lead and grow teams, we're going to have to make sure that our character is staying right there. So charisma is not everything. Leaders control by manipulation. That's a myth. We do not manipulate people. If you and I are great leaders, then people are going to want to be a part of what we're doing. They're going to give us their time. You know, if we're a great team as youth ministry and we love people and we love each other and our character is genuine and sincere and we have integrity and we do what we preach, then people are going to want to be around us, because people are drawn to those who are genuine, to those who are honest and sincere. And so we need to make sure that we are honest and sincere, and that we love people, and that we do not twist their arm. You know, we don't. You know, I joke people. I say, "Hey, man, if you don't do that, you're going to go to hell." You know, it's just a little joke that I say. But the reality is that we can't use those kinds of lines to try and get people to help, because they may do a job. We may even get students to do something, you know, if we manipulate them. But the reality is that we're not going to have their heart. We're just going to have their service for that moment. And then they may not want to do something again for us. They may not even stay. But if we are trying to manipulate leaders into doing things, then I mean that's just bad. I mean it's witchcraft, really. If we are manipulating people, that whole aspect of trying to get somebody to do what you want them to do is a form of witchcraft. The Bible says, and so we want to make sure that we're not doing that. Instead, we motivate people. We move them to do what we want them to do. And so some questions as we're working along here for you and I to ask. Do any of the above myths that we just went through describe your personal beliefs about leadership? If that's the case, then hopefully we can debunk those myths. On which myths do you personally often operate? So do you operate on any of those myths that we just explained? Okay, moving on to the making of a leader. Number one, you and I have to understand how important leadership is. Leadership is everything. As a matter of fact, John Maxwell here says that everything rises or falls on leadership. Everything rises or falls in leadership. Everything comes down to leadership. So leadership is so key. As a matter of fact, John also says that whenever you move into a new place as a leader, so let's say you take over a new department at your job, or for example, let's use this in the context of me coming in as youth pastor here at Christ Chapel. John says that when you come into a place as a new leader, that the first 3 years you're dealing with the last person's problems, or you're dealing with problems that are a result of people who are gone now, their choices. So it takes about 3 years, and then from year 3 on, everything that's going on now is your responsibility. So for you and I, we're working here with a clean slate as a new team, and we're going to have to spend about 3 years trying to clean up and organize and do everything from some previous people's decisions or lack of decisions. But at about year 3, you and I should be able to really be taking responsibility for what's going on, whether good or bad. So some food for thought. Make a commitment to learn how to lead. We need to make a commitment to learn how to lead. Growth stops when the price gets too high. So you and I need to continue to be growing as leaders and commit to grow. Becoming a true leader will cost you and I. It will cost us one personal change. We have to change. I remember the first time we did a 6-hat of my service back in Rockville. Dude, I wanted to quit, man. There wasn't anything good that came out of that. I mean, we had the positive aspect, but the black hat was so long. I just wanted to quit, man. It was so bad, but I had to come to grips with the fact that I was doing things that were wrong and that they just weren't quality. And so, you and I, this is not time to pout or to be sad or woe is me. Dude, this is time to own up. Whatever we're doing, if it's wrong, if we don't have the right attitude, we need to shape up, because the reality is our team doesn't have time for people who want to mope and pout over in the corner. Oh, somebody's picking on me, they don't like what I'm doing. No, man, it's not about picking on you. It's about making the changes required in all of our lives as leaders to make sure that we are providing quality, because the ministry is greater than you and I. And I don't want to hand something over to the next youth pastor and the next youth team. I don't want to hand over crap. I don't want to hand over a bad product. I don't want to hand over problems. Now, are there always going to be some problems? Well, sure, because it's students. There's always going to be some drama. But I want to hand over something that's healthy. And I believe you do too. So personal change. Becoming a leader will also cost us time. Cost you time. It will cost you dollars. You may have to invest in some resources or some training or some events. It may cost you friendships. It's a tough one. People may choose, because of the changes that you're making in your life, to not be your friend anymore. It will cost you options and freedom. The reality is that you and I, as leaders of the ministry, we don't have as much freedom as we maybe like to think that we do. Being a pastor at Christ Chapel, I don't have the right to put political bumper stickers on my car. I don't have a right to post political things on my Facebook. I don't have a right to do that. And I want to encourage you, if you're a leader in this youth ministry and you are posting political things that are anti our president on your page, or you're posting things about the opposite party on your page, you need to stop that, or you need to get out of our ministry, because we cannot do that. We don't have the freedom to do that. Our interest as a youth ministry is not a political agenda. Our interest as a youth ministry is not our personal agenda. Our interest as a youth ministry is the agenda of Jesus, which is growing the kingdom. We do not have the right to simply be free and throw whatever we want out there. Now, I just use politics because it's always a hot topic, and the election just took place. So I'm not looking in on anybody specifically or anything like that. But whatever it is, maybe you're just posting, something, something crazy and heinous. The other day, I was posting a youth ministry article. I was posting an article on how to survive for a student, how to survive being up all night, and I posted it. And as I was looking and scrolling on the page, I saw that there was something about this guy who was an actor in the porn industry, and some sort of interview they did with him. And I saw it on the right side of the page. And I'm like, well, maybe it just came up on my browser. So once I posted it, I clicked the link, and there it was again. And I'm like, dude, this can't be on there. I mean, I like the article, but it's not like I have an option there. I have no option. I cannot be responsible for exposing our students to something like that. Now, it wasn't anything like a movie or people doing anything. It was some guy who was an actor, and they were interviewing him. But still, I don't have the option there. I can't be like, well, the article's good, and they'll just ignore that. No, because there may be somebody who that's all they catch, and they ignore the article, and then I was the one who did that. So the choices that we make, the places we go, if you go with a student out to eat, man, don't order a beer. Paul says, sure, as Christians, we may have certain liberties And it may be permissible, but Paul says that doesn't necessarily mean that it's beneficial or profitable. So let's keep that in mind, that we are limited in our options and freedoms. And so some questions to help us to think as we wrap up here for today. What will it cost you to make a commitment to learn how to lead? What's the Lord speaking to your heart? Number 2, are you committed to growth? Are you committed to the process? Number 3, are you willing to carve your schedule in a way that you allow time to learn how to be a true leader? Are you willing to really change your schedule to give time? What personal habits in your life are helping you become a better leader? And maybe what personal habits in your life are are hindering you from becoming a better leader? So what in your life is pushing you towards being a better leader, and what in your life is keeping you or holding you back from becoming a better leader? Just some food for thought as we look at week number 1 here. Part number 1, what is a leader? I want to encourage you guys. I believe in every single one of you. I think you are some of the greatest people on the whole planet. I think you love our students better than anybody else could. Well, aside from God himself. But I am honored and blessed and privileged to be a part of this team. I want to encourage you today. Let's all commit together to become better leaders. Because being a better leader, it's a win-win. We're going to not only bless our ministry, but bless our personal lives and the lives of those that we love the most. So thanks so much, guys. Praying for you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.